Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. Welcome. So I think it's undeniable at this point that Battlefield 6 has been a massive failure. Yeah. Sorry guys, there's just not enough content coming into this game. Battlefield 6 was meant to be the sequel to BF4, the successor to BF3, to BF4, and ultimately it failed. Okay, because we know it, I know it, you know it. This game wasn't made by the same development team. Okay, so all of that knowledge, all of those skills and talents were essentially lost in translation. And yeah, they set the stage for this game to be one big success. Okay, they put all these YouTubers in place to push their propaganda, to capitalize on every single update this game has to offer. And unfortunately, the development team could not deliver the experience, guys. Like I've said before, they do not have the capacity to develop this game. I've said that multiple times before, and you have to wonder why that is. Well, if you look at their philosophies and the studio culture, the structure of the studio, it's clear as day why they could not deliver on this game. I've said that multiple times. You can go back and watch my content on that. I don't understand why I have to keep repeating it every single fucking video, because a certain group of people just simply do not have the brain power to understand it. And that again is just a reflection of our modern society. Practically everything is a joke nowadays, from games, film, even politics at this point. But that being said, I wanted to touch on the future of Battlefield 6. You still see various channels still making content around this game, still critical of the game's lack of content, but do absolutely nothing to outline the people making this slop. And again, it's just not exclusive to Battlefield. It's pretty much every game sucks today. People want that grounded military shooter experience. If I was the CEO of Battlefield right now, you best believe I'm putting in the time and resources into developing the adequate content. And I'm not talking about fucking skins, weapon charms, and fucking live service bullshit. I'm talking about maps, sandbox, vehicles, arsenal, that whole experience. I don't understand why the fuck it's a fucking shit experience, guys. And again, you have to wonder, what exactly is their problem? You've got the time and resources to develop this game. 4 studios, fucking $500 million budget. There is practically no excuses, guys. And again, I've pretty much detailed all of that. It seems to me that these YouTubers are running cover for this studio. Yeah, they just do not have the capacity to make the game, clear as day. Okay, and they'll gaslight you. They'll come up with all these excuses as to why they cannot deliver the game. Okay, they'll blame EA. They'll blame lack of time and resources. Yeah, many issues. Yeah, they'll blame literally everyone but the development team responsible for making the game. And like I've said, there's only so much you can blame EA. It's just not logical common sense here. They're not the ones actually creating the content. But yeah, moving forward with the BF6, we're moving into the next portion of the season. Season 2 is practically done already, guys. This is what you get. It's practically over. This content strategy pipeline that they have going on right now is an absolute pathetic joke. Okay, like I've said many times before, they need to get back to that premium pass system. Yes, you have to pay a bit more money, but ultimately you're getting way more content, way more quality in the content. But even if we do go back to that premium service model, I don't have the confidence in this development team to deliver the content to support that premium service. Okay? Because like I said, the culture is important, all right? Yeah, they will not have the endurance to make to match that same output that we used to get. Yeah, so the last portion, the last month of season 2, we still don't truly understand what it even is. We're talking about an operations mode, and this is Operation Arga, and it appears to be that they're just showing us the same map, Contaminated. What the fuck is that about? You're showing us the same map, Contaminated, all over again. What exactly is this mode? Is it just grand operations? If so, how exactly does that pan out? How does that play out in contrast to modes like Breakthrough, which basically is the same formula at this point? You just advance sector by sector throughout the map. Are they introducing behemoths back into the game? I don't think so. There is so much they could do with this game. You could reintroduce VTOL warships, new vehicles into the sandbox. Like I've said before, attack boats would be much appreciated. But again, they just do not have it. The water physics in this game are still jacked up since launch. I made a video on that, And they've conveniently gated off with kill boundaries much of the environment. So you can't even access certain areas like these wide open spaces like oceans. This game has been curated to navigate the player in linear directions constantly throughout the whole experience. Like I said, it's just devoid of that space. Yeah, Operation Augur I'm not too interested in at all going forward with this game. What exactly is it? We've got no idea. And the rest of the content on offer there just does not seem adequate enough to, again, sustain this audience. And looking beyond that into Season 3, again, there just doesn't seem to be much hope. There is nothing inspiring about what is on offer here. This is substitution, effectively substitution. We're talking about remaking 2 maps from previous games. Well, a previous game, Battlefield 4, you're talking about Golmud and fucking Propaganda. Now, are those iconic maps? No. Are those reasonably difficult to recreate? No. So why the hell have they recreated it? Why are they remaking those maps? To me, those are relatively piss-easy maps to recreate. I'm sorry, but no one asked for those fucking maps. Golmud is just a wide open valley, mountainous scenery, rural terrain, a couple of village houses here and there, cornfields or whatnot. The only positive about that map is you have the wide open space, and again, it's catering to that combined arms vehicle gameplay. Huge sandbox, you have jets, you have tanks, attack helicopters, you got the little bird on there. Basically, the map is open to every single vehicle in the sandbox. That's basically what this game needs right now. Unfortunately, it is relying on a remake to do that, okay? And that's just not good enough, okay? It's screaming to me that this development team are lacking the creativity to navigate this game. Not only this game, but this franchise forward. Yeah, they just do not have it. Okay, and then we're talking about Propaganda, which is literally just a tight, urban, narrow space environment. Yeah, ultimately, it's an infantry-focused map. There is not much vehicle gameplay on this map. And again, like I've said multiple times, like 98% of this game's content is based on CQC environments. That's just not good enough for a Battlefield experience. Yeah, that is really pathetic. Game needs larger maps. Alright, so Propaganda. Really decent map. I enjoyed all of these maps in BF4. I'm not saying they're terrible maps, but you cannot remake constantly like this. It's just not normal. It's very lazy. Yeah, Propaganda, a very linear style map. You've got lots of tight close quarters environments there. Not much destruction on that map. So again, they do have an opportunity there to bring in some destruction. You've also got this village area on the right side of the map, adjacent to the train tracks. Again, that did have some form of destruction on there. You could level the houses there. That being said, I also want to talk about the levolution aspect of these maps, because they've already made it abundantly clear that they're not going to reintroduce levolution into this game. So that mass style destruction is just never coming back into BF6. That's a shame, because you do have elements of that in Fort Linden. It's not like they can't do it. This game has potential. Okay, but it's the developers who aren't taking advantage of that, who aren't pushing or striving forward into innovation. Okay, so in regards to Golmud, in regards to Propaganda, those 2 maps, there is ample opportunity there for some form of levolution. Okay, whether it's a high-rise building collapsing straight from the assets of Fort Linden, they could do it. Okay, and I pointed out before that you could also integrate the train as well as part of the map. Both of those maps featured a train. Now, this train was a dynamic element, okay? It was a moving, functioning piece of the environment, okay? It brought the environment to life. That train would completely obliterate anything in its path, okay? So, yeah, really interesting dynamic element right there. If we take a look at Golmud, it did have a train. The interesting thing about that is if you're playing on Conquest, the train was set as a capture point. Okay, so there was a flag on the train, and players could get into the train. They could mount on a HMG on there, and the train would move basically up and down the map as its own capture point. And that was really interesting, because we've never really had a moving capture point like that. Yeah, that was really interesting. So again, they could reintroduce all of that, but I'm going to be skeptical and say I don't really have the confidence in this development team to truly deliver on the scale or those dynamic elements. You've also had the IEDs scattered throughout Golmud. Another unique, interesting feature right there. players could basically press a button and that would activate these explosive ordnance scattered throughout the map, and you'd see this giant earthy explosion. It just looked really epic, and it would completely decimate any tanks or vehicles in that area. You also had the artillery trucks, okay? With all this open space around, that artillery truck would basically launch some much needed artillery and ground support for the infantry. And that was a really unique part of this map. Of course, you had other maps with the artillery truck as well, like Hainin Resort. Yeah, again, there was a massive emphasis on scale in BF4, and they really capitalized on that, and that's what made the game so fun, and it really pushed BF4 in a new direction going forward. It was the perfect sequel to BF3, in my opinion, because they did everything right with BF3. They did it again in BF4, but expanded on the scale, and that's why I believe it was the perfect sequel. And yeah, again, please let me know if you're enjoying the gameplay, guys. Like I said, I do enjoy going back and playing these games in comparison to BF6 or any modern game. It typically is just garbage compared to many of these classics. Yeah, that being said, do I have confidence in this development team to essentially recreate or honor the spirit of these classic maps? No, I don't. In fact, I think we're going to see many of those substitutional tactics re-emerge with these remakes. I did highlight the fact that what this team do, and they think they're really fucking clever with this, they destroy parts of the map, okay, and that's basically an artistic design choice which interferes with many of those dynamic elements we keep talking about, so which conveniently sets the stage for them to do as little work as possible, essentially. For example, okay, we just spoke about the train in Propaganda. Now, if I wanted to be lazy, I would completely destroy half of the map with like an earthquake, for example, and that would justify me not having to put in the effort to create this train as a moving part of the map. Now I could just destroy half of the map, and the train itself would just be an obstacle for the player, a convenient piece of cover scattered throughout the map. This big road, the tracks, and part of the village would basically be decorated with pieces of this train. That would seem to me exactly what this fucking development team would do. And it just goes to, it's a reflection of just the laziness that you get with these progressives, man. Yeah, you heard it here first, guys. That train, that is an important element to both of these maps. I do not believe that they're going to integrate this successfully into the map. Yeah, I believe 100% that they're just going to be lazy and they're going to cut corners like they have with every single fucking map in this game. There's only so much you can rely on the same formulas until people start discovering that you're just fucking lazy. I'm sorry. This is fact. Again, all those other YouTubers, they don't seem to even understand most of these basic facts right here. You're talking about YouTubers who've been doing this for over 10 years at this point. Their job is just basically to give you the update, to read verbatim off the updates coming out of DICE and EA. Provide their little 2 cents on it and a bit of nostalgia bait videos here and there. And you were just watching people making money through advertising, and it's just a fucking slot machine at this point. Battlefield is just, it's dead. BF6 is dead, okay? The only reason I'm playing this game is because I currently cannot play any other game because my storage is maxed out. I need to buy more storage for my PC, so I'm currently stuck with this one game at the moment and a few other games. But yeah, that being said, BF6 completely is washed out. The development team are creatively tapped out. This game is going nowhere, okay? They've outwardly stated, they've admitted this is where the game is going forward, and they're not willing to sacrifice quality, guys. This is their form of quality we've seen is completely pathetic. It's not enough to sustain this game. The content on offer is just absolutely not good enough. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Please like, share the video if this resonates. Yeah, my channel is basically being targeted by a few neurodivergent, stupid individuals at this point. They cannot understand these concepts. They're not willing to understand them. And yeah, much of that studio responsibility is just a non-issue for these people. I cannot understand that. If you deliver a piece of content and it doesn't meet the expectations of your audience, that audience have a right to question the creator. And in this case, it's the people in the studio. I don't see how you can blame EA, the publisher, when they're not the ones actually on the ground making this game. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.